Hey everyone, Cameron Tate here for Outdoor Canada's Wild Cuisine. I've got a really great dish that we're going to be doing today. This is a pheasant dish, and it's with pheasant and apples and morels. And I've talked before about flavor marriages, and this is a perfect example of marrying flavors, like the mushrooms. We've got apples, we've got cognac, and we've got shallots and garlic and grainy mustard, and it is a beautiful flavor that is going to come together with this dish. It's really simple. You can even do it on the campfire. You can do it after your fall hunt. It is so simple. Let's get started. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to cook this thigh. So a thigh and a breast actually cooks a lot different, because the thigh and the leg have a lot of connective tissue. It's a little bit of a tougher muscle. So this one here is going to be, the thigh is going to be with the wild mushroom saute and the sauce and the ragout. And then the breast is actually, we're going to cook it to medium doneness, a touch of pink, and it's beautiful. So let me show you how you're going to do that. We've taken off the thigh bone, and we're going to take off the skin, because the skin sometimes isn't a very desirable sort of texture inside of a ragout. So you take that off, but in any kind of wild bird you have this, the fat, and the fat is actually nice to have in with your ragout. So the seam, the sort of goes back and forth like this. So we're going to take thin strips of this thigh, and all you need to do is thin strips like this, just like that. So here you go. We've got our breast and our thigh and our leg. I'm going to utilize the breast and the thigh for this recipe, and I'm going to keep these legs for another recipe later on. Let's get cooking. So the most important thing with any kind of cooking is developing flavor. And I've talked about this in my other videos, is the right amount of salt, the right kind of salt, and a fresh black pepper sometimes is all you really need. So we want to cook the pheasant sort of like that medium, but we want to cook the thigh basically well done. So what we're going to do is we use the kosher salt and season it nicely, on both sides. And the kosher salt is so much nicer than like a table salt. And a little bit more. And don't be afraid, let's get a little bit more seasoning in on that. And then we're going to use the black pepper. And a fresh ground black pepper is so much nicer, than something that's already been ground. We're going to do it on both sides. Okay, so now, here we go. We're going to go over, we've got our cast iron pan. It's just slightly smoking, which is nice, and we're going to add in, a couple tablespoons, of a canola oil. And you see that it is nice and smoking here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the breast, and you always do it skin side down. And this one's going to be really quick. And the reason why you do it skin side down is that's kind of your presentation. So let's take a look to see if it's browning nicely. Look at that, it's beautiful. You can move it around a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to just wait a few seconds. It's on about a medium-high heat. Flip it over, look at that. That looks awesome. We're going to just sear this for about another 10 seconds, and then we're going to remove it, and we'll start with our thigh. So I flipped it over, and it's only been, about 20-30 seconds, but you don't want to overcook it. We're going to take it and we're going to remove it, put it on the side. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in our butter. So you can take the fat if you want, and you can sort of pour it off. Add in your butter. So now what we're going to do is we're going to saute this thigh. So it's still same medium-high heat. Okay, we're going to just lightly brown that, and all the flavor from the butter is going to go into the mushrooms. It's going to be so nice and beautiful. So now we've got our morels. Look at those beautiful things. We're going to add that in. And we've got our chanterelles. Beautiful marriage of flavors here. And then we've got our regular button mushrooms, because I love mushrooms, and we're going to have a dish full of mushrooms here. So after we do that, all you need to do is we're going to take our salt and pepper. Again, seasoning is the most important thing. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to actually let this saute a little bit, and then I'm going to show you the next step. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add these apples. You can use any kind of apple, and I love shallots. A shallot is a type of a really flavorful mushroom, so we're just going to add them in to our mushroom saute, and we're going to start developing all of the flavor. So the one thing that really goes well with all of this is garlic. Can't go wrong with garlic. And we've got a grainy mustard. And a cognac, apples, wild mushroom is beautiful. So we're going to add that in. We're going to cook off the liquid. Give it a little stir, get everything in there. Smells amazing. So now we're going to just stay with our chicken, or add our chicken stock here, or our pheasant stock. And what we're going to do is we're going to just bring this up to a simmer, and then all we're going to do after is we're going to add our cream, and then we're going to put our pheasant breast on top and just slowly cook it to a medium. It's going to be fantastic. So it's been about 10 minutes of reducing, and the shallots and the apples are nice and soft. I've added the cream in, so you're sort of developing that sort of a really nice kind of a sauce flavor. So if you take a look, we've got our parsley in there as well, and all I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the breast and we're going to nestle it in this sauce here, and it's going to cook very, very slowly. We're going to put it on sort of like a medium low, and then every once in a while we're just going to take these mushrooms and the ragu, we're going to almost baste it up here like this, and we're going to cook this for about 10 minutes. And what I'm going to do, this is the best thing to have, is a thermometer, and what we're going to do is we're going to cook this to about 138, 140 degrees. I just took the temperature, it's at perfectly 138 degrees. Let's take a look at this here. So we've got, this is our pheasant dish with our wild mushroom ragu and apples and shallot and a brandy cream. I'm going to pair this with a Sandhill Pinot Gris. This is a fantastic wine that goes with all of these flavors here. I really hope you enjoy this dish, because I sure know that I will. Cheers.